I'm going to talk about my experience. I just went through this last year. How many of you who are here today are grandfathered in? Okay, so that's who I made this for. So you all would know actually what we're supposed to do, what they're making us do. Okay, first off, I like taking tests. When Ron came and first talked to us, I had already signed up for it. And I thought at the time about backing out, but I actually really like taking tests. I did my residency in internal medicine and pediatrics. So I could get 2 tests. So I really like tests. I do well on tests. I look forward to taking tests. Sorry, I'm a nerd, but that's cool. So I aced both my board exams. The first time I took pediatrics, I was actually asked to write questions for the next board exam. So I like these kind of tests. And I felt like I had invested a lot to be board certified. In our residency, they really pushed that we would be board certified. And when I first moved to this small town in Texas, I was the only one who was board certified. And I was very proud of that. I didn't really want to give that up. But then this has gone from a test to something entirely different. It's not your grandfather's board certification, unless you're grandfathered. So it's the ABIM enriches the MOC self-assessment process. What? Before you're even allowed to take the test, you have to earn all these weird points and do these self-evaluations. You have these components, modules, EQI, and again, when we're talking about these trademark words, here tons of these weird trademark words that really don't make any sense, that you have to wade through in order to even be allowed to take the test. So this took me an entire year to do, by the way, 12 months. In this time, I've had to spend so many hours doing these online tests of outdated material. To get the 100 points, you have to choose from these different tests to take. One of the tests was from 2012, the next one was from and it says 2011, and the next one was from 2010. And when I'm going through these practice tests, the questions are old. I don't know about you guys, but I read every night. I read something medical every night. And I couldn't take these tests very well because I couldn't remember when the things had changed. I couldn't remember the answers to the test, so I had to think, okay, wait, in 2011, what did we think about the PSA? And, I mean, it was ridiculous. They were antiquated questions. And then I was asked to do these intrusive things and time-consuming data collection and trust that the people I give my patient data to were going to use it for good, not evil. So normally you have to pay a test fee, take the test, do the prep work, all the stuff you all know, shut down the office for a day. Fine, I was fine with that. But now you have to do this mockery thing too, okay? So the other thing I had to do was the self-evaluation, like we said, of these weird questions. Oh, and the other ones were of subspecialties. So they are very, very complicated, very, very specific questions on oncology or HIV or strange things that it would be malpractice if I tried to treat in my office. So just little hints of what I was missing. So it was really this also counterproductive self-evaluation test, okay? So like I said, the material was outdated. I had to think about old days to get the right answers. Then they have this PIM thing where you're supposed to self-evaluate. So you have to come out with this plan on what you're going to do. So I tried to pick one that I thought would actually help me, and the one I picked was to do these questionnaires. So I picked the one where you do 25 questionnaires with your patients, then you look at the, about how they like your practice, you look at it, you come up with a plan, and then you do it again. Okay, so the problem is you have to pay for these surveys. They only sent me 25. Okay, well, I was an advertising major before this in a past life, and I know that if you give 25 surveys out, you're going to be lucky if you get back 5. The other thing is the people had to do it on the, oh, this is a different one. They had to do it on the internet. Well, it took about 40 minutes to do these. So I also know from my advertising background that people aren't going to do it. Why would I give them more work to do? So what we had to do instead is have somebody else in the office go and put them all in, and if a patient didn't do it, we had to grab that test and erase the one or two they did do and use a stupid piece of paper again. Okay, so here's another one of the dumb ones though. This was where you were supposed to do random 25 people that you select randomly, so you can't do this without electronic medical records, and even then I think it's hard, that were obese. Then you had to write a plan to how to improve obesity with these patients. Then 30 days later, you have to pull another 25 charts of people who are obese and then say if it worked or not. Well, something tells me that if I'm pulling charts of only people who are obese and I'm comparing them to other people who were obese before I started my plan, they're still going to be obese. 100% of them are going to be obese. It was really dumb stuff like that. The other thing is they say that you can complete this with your colleagues or trainees, so I hope that you have a lot of control over those medical students or that you're really good friends with people, because nobody wants to do these with you. And where I work, if these tests are so specific that I'm supposed to know everything about every single subspecialty, then I would be practicing by myself. But there's no way to get these reviewed unless you have other people who are working with you. Because everybody else in my community are my competitors. And they're the other doctors who aren't board certified. See, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, now when you look at these PIMs, I don't know, did you guys talk about this? How they're actually underwritten by pharmaceutical companies. So when you do these for your self-assessment and you turn your answers in, guess who gets the data? Guess who you just provided free R&D to? And again, being in advertising, that's extremely valuable things that you just worked for. Now, collating the performance improvement was this program with AstraZeneca and Pfizer. There was the PE prophylaxis. These are all actually on their website, the links to these that we did for them. Okay, so back to the survey that we talked about that I did end up doing. They had some really ridiculous questions on there, like my favorite one. In the past 12 months, did you talk to your doctor about any health problems or concerns? What? No. Okay, and then was the receptionist as helpful as you thought they should be? What's the highest grade or level of school you've completed? Again, that's not for me. That's not helpful to me. I don't need to know that to help my practice improve. Are you of Hispanic or Latino origin or descent? Again, that doesn't help me improve my practice. What's your race? Again, not helpful. And again, it's going somewhere. Somebody's using this. Oh, only one person could do this on the internet. Only one person did it on the internet, and that was somebody who used to work for us. So we gave them the option if they wanted to, but again, I was scared to death that I would lose one of those 25 surveys. So we had to have the staff go in and enter these. So again, it took about 100 surveys to hand out to get the 25 required, and in the beginning, we said, well, let's give them to kind of our ornery patients because we have to do an improvement plan. So let's give them to our kind of cantankerous patients. Plus, if there's a long wait, it'll give them something to do so they feel busy. So when I did the first 25, so I asked them, like, where do I send the data now that I put it all in your computer? So where do I get the results? And the lady said, honey, we don't do that. You do that. So I just sent them all the data just for them to have, and then I had to go back through and still tabulate them. So when I did it, though, the problem was that on a scale of 0 to 10, the lowest grade score I got on any of them was a 9, even with the ornery patients, which maybe the ornery patients actually like me better in retrospect, but there was no way to write an improvement plan. You just have to kind of make something up. So after this 3 months of this plan, we did this again, and guess what? There was no change. So I had to spend all this time tabulating this, making up this plan, and go through. Oh, and then I had to write how there was no change. And I had to send that in too, to show that my performance was the same as before. So that was my plan for improvement, is to not do it again. Okay, then the testing. It's expensive. I had to close the office, turn people away. It's just me. I'm in a small town. Baby gets sick. It's just me. They got to go to the ER. I had to go to the site, obviously. We weren't fingerprinted. We were palm scanned, which was even nicer. And again, you don't get any feedback. So these kids had to go somewhere else. Nobody else is going to hug them like that. Okay, so here's the test. 8-hour-long test. You couldn't bring anything in. I can barely make it 2 hours without food or beverage, but you couldn't bring in your watch, your hat, a pen, a pencil. We didn't get a piece of tissue paper. So we didn't get anything in ours. And then you had to show ID, like I said, and have your palm vein scanned, which was funny because when I was reading about this to find this picture, it was talking about how safe this is, which makes me really worried that it's not safe. So, and then in your little cubby that everybody's put in, they tell you you're being videotaped from behind, and each cubby has a speaker in it, so you're being recorded auditorily as well. Why, I don't know. But talk about being paranoid. I was afraid if I mumbled through something that I would get a failing grade. You know, if I said, I don't know, let's think about it, that I would get in trouble. Which I did get in trouble. Because even though I had to sit there for 8 hours and I had just broken my foot and I was in my own little private cubby, when I put my foot up, I was told by the lady if I didn't put my foot down, she was going to kick me out. So I was like, I'm a doctor. I know it needs to be elevated. Can I please? And you can't retake the test. I mean, you can't take it for another whole cycle. Can I leave my foot up, please? Pretty please? Nope. If I get caught with you having your foot up there, I'll lose my job and you have to leave. Okay. So again, pretty sure that prisoners in our federal prison have better rights as far as getting access to food, water, maybe a little respect, maybe medical treatment. So as you know, now they're going to make this even harder, which I'm not really even sure how it could be any harder, but evidently they're going to. Oh, and when you sign up for this too, you also sign away your rights so that they can give all this information to partners and associates. So they also sell your private information too, which I don't want more mail from these people. So for me, it was about 150 hours, 30 hours of staff time, 50 hours for my patients. It was a lot. You guys have seen the other slides, but it really, really added up. But the main thing was that it just took so much time away from my patients. Getting your scores back, at first you just got to pass-fail. Then they break down how you did compared to other physicians, which was also really weird because, like on my practice test, I had made a 90 in the 92nd. No, I got 92% of them right on cardiology, and then when I got my results back, I only got 30% in the 30th percentile. So there were a lot of really bizarre results that didn't seem to correlate with what I knew to be my medical knowledge. And then again, they don't tell you where the cutoff is. So when I study for a test, I usually study for a percentage I want to get right. So you don't really know how to do it in the first place, and you have to make it up. And I'm not sure how to study for a test like that, quite frankly. And again, you're graded on a curve. The failure rate has been steadily climbing. Duh, if I made so much money off of that, I would make the failure rate keep going up so people would have to pay again. So if you want your test to be rescored, you only have to pay $250. So that's another thing. They admit that there's a certain amount of error in your test too, and so if you want it to be rescored, you can do that too. But you don't get there's no way to get any answers now. I guess there used to be, but now you cannot get any questions or answers. which we've kind of hit on. Okay, and then you guys know all their salaries, which are ridiculous. So bottom line, I did not go to medical school to enrich these people, and I'm not going to do it anymore, and nobody should do this anymore. All these tests are doing is helping them make a lot more money. I went to medical school to take care of them.